Hello, divas. Can you see me? Can you hear me? We've been having technical issues and somehow my camera settings got all messed up. And then I was like, I'm changing them. But then somehow I changed it to my camera was turning off voluntarily after 2 minutes. Oh, hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess. And this is a quick news flash book community because dare I even call it mess? It's quite concerning. I think this is a sensitive issue, but I think people's reactions are out of hand, too much. I don't know. It's about a book, a passage in a book, which I think is also dangerous to make assumptions when you don't have the full context of a story. You're just showing a screenshot. So we're at a minute. We need 1 minute more. It looks better on the camera than it was looking before. So hopefully, since I did a reset of the settings, then we're gonna be Gucci. But now I'm realizing at the top, I can't see my battery. I can't see my time that's left in the memory card. So we're just living on a dream, I guess. Okay, I think we're safe. Okay. Before I get into the topic, I would like to say I am not a stan. I am fans of people who create art, but I can change my mind at any time because I realize that people are human and sometimes they make mistakes, and you have to see how that person, makes up for that, or if they learn from that, if they continue to make the same mistake, or if somebody does something that's just completely reprehensible and you have to let them go completely. So I do not stand anybody because my mind can change at any time. That's important to note here. I am a fan of this author that I'm going to talk about. It's R.F. Kuang. She wrote the Poppy War series, Yellowface, Babel, Catapacis. I've loved most of them. She has a new story coming out in the fall called Taipei Story. Is it a Taipei Story or just Taipei Story? Either way, it'll be here. I guess people have gotten a hold of advanced reader copies, and there is a mention of a character from a certain country. And so originally I saw a thread that had a small snippet, and then someone posted the longer section of it, which I've already read, but I thought my camera was recording. And at first I was like, okay, well, I'll just skim it. Well, I'll read it sections here, but I'm going to read the whole thing. So you have that whole section. Granted, it's a larger section than the original one, still not the entire book. I think it's important. I don't know what came before this. I don't know what comes after it, because I have not read it. Okay? So I'm going to read it to you, the original post snippet, and then the long one. And then I'm going to share what some people think and what I think. That's going to be this video, okay? Please relax your fingers until you've heard it all, okay? All right. The first thing I saw was, this actually hurt my feelings. Of all people, I did not expect this from her. Of all real places, she had to say this. Kuang, I'm disappointed. The two snippets are, Israeli pianist. That had been a special occasion, it turned out. I rarely saw foreigners in the concert hall after that. Never again did I see a full house. Most of the time, only a quarter of the seats were occupied. When local musicians played, people showed up in tank tops and shorts at a string quartet performance by 4 Taiwanese sisters. The old woman behind me sat cracking peanut shells between her teeth the entire time. The second one was, I found a seat near the front and flipped open my program. It was in Chinese, but I was startled by how much of it was immediately incomprehensible to me. I wasn't struggling to read. The pianist was from Israel. So that was the original one. And so people are saying like, this is terrible. This is feeding into Zionist propaganda because R.F. Kuang put an Israeli character, or at least mentions someone. I don't even know if this person plays a larger part of the story. Mentions this character is from Israel. So then someone said, context is everything, and this felt way too positive for my liking. I don't know if this is the same person. So this is the longer snippet, okay? Do you have a ticket? I glanced up. A young woman in a black suit stood before me, a ticket scanner in hand. Oh no, sorry. She looked me up and down. I was trying to remember how to explain. I was just looking around the lobby, but then she asked, are you a student? Yes. We have some complimentary tickets reserved for students. She handed me a program. Today's program features Liszt's poetic and religious harmonies. If you have proof of identity, I can give you a student ticket. I pulled out my NTU card. She glanced down, nodded in approval, and waved me through. Then I was following the crowd along the velvet ropes toward the hall. Well, why not? I had no great passion for classical music, nor any particular knowledge about Liszt. I just wanted to be a part of the crowd, to experience whatever they were experiencing. If they were so excited about it, then it must be something worth seeing. I found a seat near the front and flipped open my program. It was in Chinese, but I was startled by how much of it was immediately comprehensible to me. I wasn't struggling to read. The pianist was from Israel, and he was a big deal. He had performed at concert halls throughout Europe and the Americas and been a soloist with all sorts of philharmonic orchestras. This was his first time in Taiwan. The National Concert Hall was honored to host him. I thought there would be more pomp and circumstance when the concert began, but no one gave a speech or anything. The stage lights came on and the audience fell silent. Out came the pianist, a dour-faced man who did not so much as crack a smile as we applauded. He gave a short bow, sat down, and touched the keys. A tremor came over his shoulders, then he hunched over and began a series of slow, gentle, broken chords. I checked my program. Liszt's Bénédiction des dieux dans la solitude. I don't speak French. The woman in the row behind me kept murmuring to her companion in English that she wished they had sat further back. Up close is no good, she hissed. It's like you're watching a recital in your living room. But I liked being up close. I liked seeing the pianist's hands and the white of his shirt sleeves poking through the dark of his jacket. He reminded me of a chef. What was it they said? Good chefs had clean sleeves. I liked the way he jerked one hand or the other up in the air every time he finished a trill, as if getting it clear of the musical soup. Like the keyboard was a wash of ingredients, and here he was, stirring it around, never letting it splash. The concert hall was dark, deliciously cool. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. I felt that hit of vertigo again. For a moment, I was afraid that my hunger had caught up with me and that I would faint in my seat. But then a marvelous thing happened. The lightness intensified, but I did not lose consciousness. Rather, my body or my perception of my body melted away entirely until all that existed was the sound. A tension released from my head. I was free from the struggle to make myself and the world articulable. I did not have to say anything or interpret anything. As I sat there in the dark, I felt the core of myself, that part that was capable of conscious reflection, drift outside of my body and toward the stage, writing the notes and going wherever they took me. How did music paint an image in your head, I wondered? How could it be that certain combinations of notes struck the same emotions in different listeners? In my freshman introduction to philosophy class, we had learned how Schopenhauer argued that music was the highest of all arts because it did not try to represent any ideas from the material world. Painting and sculpture and poetry were mere shadows of reality, just approximations of ideas, but music was pre-language, pre-association. Only music captured the will. But that could not be quite right, because I could see so clearly in my mind's eye the narrative of this piece. Bénédiction des dieux dans la solitude, the blessing of God received in solitude. I did not compose this image from thin air. I saw what notes told me to see. I saw the lonely man praying on his knees, whispering in silence, "Oh God." Saw his lips moving, saw his head bowed in the dark, his eyes squeezed shut and brow furrowed, saw the sun coming up, the light streaming through the stained glass, and the glow rising around him. Then the chords crescendoed, and the angels joined in his song, and I saw that man lifting his face, rising up on his knees because his prayers had worked, and someone was listening after all, and the heavens were answering his call. I feel like that doesn't give much more context. It's still this pianist who happens to be from Israel. I don't know. Like we don't have the entire story. So some people are saying like it could be from anywhere in the world. Why does this person have to be from Israel? Like that's legitimizing that Israel exists. And it's like a bad choice. Why would she do this? Someone else's perspective, they said, while I don't have enough information about Kuang's book to legitimately critique and analyze her usage of Israeli characters, I'm gonna need some of her rabid defenders to take a beat just for a sec. She is known for writing anti-colonialism in her books. This is a theme across every series she has done, and she is probably continuing that theme in this book. However, I'm gonna need you people who are like, oh, so Israeli characters can't exist now? Other problematic countries exist in media too, so why is Israel different? To shut up real quick and listen. Western media uses the concept of Israeli characters and Israeli paraphernalia to legitimize the existence of Israel. Zionist propaganda is everywhere in Western media where it doesn't even make sense for it to be there. So yes, the inclusion of Israeli characters or imaginary or imagery needs to be handled with care and critical thought because it's a legitimate fucking Zionist tool. Again, there are people who are like, I'm going to stay out of it until I actually read it, could form an opinion for myself, which is what I think this whole situation should be. None of the critiques or it hasn't even been a critique really. It's just been like, here's a screenshot and this person is terrible. Never reading a book from her ever again. This is like one or a few pages out of the entire novel. I don't understand. I get that, especially when you rewatch media from the 90s, the 2000s, Israel does pop up a lot in a favorable light, and you realize, oh, that it's just been so normalized. Growing up in the United States, it's always been kind of pitched as this conflict between Palestine and Israel. And I didn't know more about it till I was an adult myself. And so I understand the being like, ooh, the mention of just they feel like it gives more legitimization because the land is, Palestine, and then they came in was it the 50s? I don't have a great memory, and pushed a lot of people out, and then there's basically kind of apartheid state there with people the Palestinians, and then people who have come in and settled this country as Israel. I just think that it's very dangerous for us to say that a character, fictional by the way, fictional, being from this country that unfortunately the world does recognize as a country, Israel is on the map. I know, okay? I have an old globe that says Palestine, and is a part of ongoing atrocities there in Lebanon, worldwide, in cahoots with the United States. I think that it's dangerous to conflate every person from there as being a Zionist, and I think that you are treading very closely, if not tap dancing on the line of anti-Semitism. Now, I recognize in this present day, especially as a person from the United States, that any discussion, any critique, any talking about Zionism, any being against Zionist, critiquing Israel, they like to say is anti-Semitism. It's not. But I think when you get close to saying this, like, we cannot have people that exist, like they shouldn't, I don't know how to explain this, but I just feel like saying the mentioning of a character, I don't even know if this character is ever named, if they are in the story more than that one page. Being from that country means that somehow the author is now a Zionist. I'm treading lightly. But I think this uproar, this outrage, it feels superficial. It feels like I'm angry at the world and what Israel has done, valid. And so I see this thing and I'm going to get angry about it because this is what I can do. I can get on the internet and I can be loud about this, and I can say, I don't have much power, but maybe I have a large audience of people who follow me, and I'm going to tell them they shouldn't read this author because of this terrible thing she did in her book. That's what it feels like. Now, again, as I said earlier, I reserve the right to change my mind at any time. So it could be that once I read, because I'm going to read it, this book, and there could be more discussion, more, this character or people from Israel may show up more. I don't know. And they may be it painted in a great light, and there's all this like pro-Zionist rhetoric in it. I highly doubt it, but I can't predict the future and what's going to be in that book. So I'm saying if I read that, I'd be like, wow, I am really disappointed. This is really terrible. But from her previous work, what she studies, who she is as a person, I don't know her. I don't know her personally. I do not think, I'm guessing, I'm making a hypothesis using the information that I have. That is not what's going to happen. So one, I think we are taking this little thing out of this big story and blowing it up for no reason. And also, so many people have not read the story. Only the select few who have this arc. I don't know if the person continued to read the story. I don't know if they just had it on their Kindle and like maybe they just stumbled upon that and then they just typed it in looking for how many times it came up. I don't know if it was just the 2 times, But this just feels dangerous, the type of language that I'm seeing. And I would like to be clear here that I am obviously for the freedom, of Palestinians, and I don't have the answers on how that is achieved. I know, I wouldn't say enough because I could know more, but you know, I know now from reading, from watching people who are in Gaza, what has been going on for so long, that, and then learning how entwined the US is with Israel, and I hate that. Oh, I think my camera is getting warm. So I just want to say that I think we need to tread lightly, and there could be a better discussion once the novel is released and people have actually read it and we can really see the point. And maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was like, oh, she just chose that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, people are from Israel. It is what it is. And maybe she could have used another country. I don't know, but maybe there's a point. I just think that right now we're just getting really upset, and it's because that's something tangible you can do, because it feels very hopeless right now. And I get that. It does. Look, I just filled up my gas tank and I wanted to cry at the pump. But just because we are angry about something else doesn't mean we take something and then, you know, run with it. And that's not helpful. Just don't feel like this conversation is helpful. And again, save this if you want to save a video and be like, Jessica, I reserve the right to change my mind. But right now, while I only have this much of an entire novel, I'm just gonna hold back and wait till I get the book so I can judge it for myself. And I think we need to do that more. Sometimes there are things that are just like blatantly terrible, and that's a good thing to listen to other people who are telling you about, maybe there's really harmful information about certain groups of people or whatever in books. But sometimes when there's something that may be deemed controversial or somebody thinks it's not right, I think sometimes it's worth it to read it for yourself, and then maybe it's something to have a good discussion about. You know, I don't know. If you've seen this conversation happening around Threads, please let me know. But I just think we've got to be careful, and we've got to save our energy for things where we can actually change and make a difference. And I understand somebody saying that making Israel just a normal thing in pop culture, aids in Zionist propaganda. But I just feel like in this instant, I don't know. I don't know if this is what that was meant for. I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Keep it cute, keep it respectful. And I'll see you in my next one. Stay blessed, hydrated, and moisturized, and sunscreen on. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.